Joining us on the Kick Your Boots Up podcast today is PRCA Cowboy Laramie Mosley. Laramie, you're from Palestine, Texas, so not very far from Justin at all. Thank you so much for being here and taking the time out of your busy schedule. It looks like you're home this time, so that sounds fun. We'll have to talk about all your different travels that you're up to, but first of all, I just want to say thank you for being on today.
Hey, thanks for having me. I really enjoy it.
And there's a lot of people out there that might not know your story or know much about you since you are kind of newer into the scene. So talk to us about yourself and tell us a little bit about where your background, how you got started in rodeo, all of it.
So I was born in Corsicana, Texas, just not very far from here. It's like 45 minutes or something. But then my parents managed a feed yard in Kansas and Colorado for a long time. And I just kind of picked up the cowboying from there, checking cattle every day. And always thought it would be fun to, I guess, tie my hand to one of them big scary things, and one thing led to another, and now we're here. Took a long time, but I think we're on the right path now.
I definitely say so. Rodeo has become your gig for sure. And what's interesting about you, and we'll get into this probably a little bit later, is that you're a bull rider by trade, but you're actually a pretty good hand with horses too. You train horses on the side, is that right?
I try to every now and then. I do have a pretty big clientele base now. I buy some and sell some for some people and ride a bunch of outside colts and start some. And it's a good way to pass the time and keep me busy. And I don't think there's anything better for your bull riding than riding a horse. So it's all that. Like me and my traveling partner, Trey Benton, we'll get together every week or two and we rope steers and a couple other things. So it's always a good time.
Oh, that definitely is. And one day that will come in handy when you get to have the opportunity to go for the all-around title. I'm sure that's a big dream too. But kind of before we get ahead of ourselves, let's talk about your background and how you got started. Tell us about how you got started in rodeo.
So my mother, she actually entered me in like some little junior rodeos and gymkhanas. And I mean, as a little kid, they always make you run barrels and do the pole bending and the goat tying. And I always thought it'd be cool to rope calves, so I didn't mind the goat tying, but the rest of it really never did intrigue me that much. I just had to do it anyways until I was old enough to get on calves, and tried my hand at that and was horrified of a little baby calf. And I don't know, I guess I just liked the adrenaline of it, and one thing led to another, and then I entered some like Little Britches rodeos and got on junior bulls, and I was hooked from there. And especially like growing up, always watching the RFD and all the old extreme bulls back then and champions challenges, that really set it off. And I was just like, I want to be one of those guys when I grow up.
And from that moment on, the rest was history. You were hooked. And you mentioned, this is kind of funny. You mentioned that in the beginning, you didn't really necessarily love all the other junior rodeo events, but I've got to ask, did you ever participate or compete in the goat undecorating class or contest?
No, we never even had such a thing when I was little.
Wow. Okay.
Be done. There wasn't all the extra stuff there is nowadays.
Did you ever get to ride sheep, mutton busting?
Yep. I actually rode sheep for a couple years, and I was always real little as a kid, so I was older than all the other kids, but still weighed my 90 pounds. And one year I weighed 91 pounds and was devastated I didn't get to ride my sheep, so I went and ran back to the house and ran back and cut my extra pound. And needless to say, the sheep ended up flipping over on me, and I said, whatever, I'm just going to start riding calves.
That mutton busting is taken pretty seriously. So I could imagine you trying to get that one last ride in. That's hilarious. And kind of going back to your family's history, you mentioned that they had a cell barn. And so talk to us about life growing up there.
They managed feed yards when I was really young, and it was the best thing I could ever do. And I always enjoyed it, waking up early in the morning and going and riding the feed truck with my mom. And then we'd ride pins in the afternoon, and I just loved everything about it. I didn't really like the confinement of the feed yard, but I'd rather be outside or doing something along those lines, and always knew it as a kid. So once I got older and figured out that's kind of the direction I wanted to go and not stay in the feed yards, it was a lot better on me, and I liked it a lot more.
It had to have been fun for you riding along in the truck and listening to all the stories and seeing the day-to-day life. But can you recall back to a time, to your first memory, whether that be at the feed yards or of rodeo, and just something that comes to mind as a little kid thinking, wow, that's a cool way of life in rural America?
Yeah, no, it's just, I guess it was always just kind of bred into me. And like my mom, she's pretty old school cowboy, and like her dad raised a bunch of cutters and showed a bunch. So I remember one time when I was sitting in the feed yard or in the feed truck with her, and I was like, there's just no better life than to watch the sun come up and have a cup of coffee and just look at your cows. And that's always been a dream of mine, is to have my own set of them and be able to wake up, open my front door, and just have a bunch of horses and cows in my front yard and just get to go check them.
And you are living that dream right now. In fact, you often take horses to different sales, right?
Yep. I went to Billings, Montana for a horse sale a couple of weeks ago, and I go to Bowie a little bit, and I went to Lufkin and sold a horse the other day, and then I bought my first set of cows the other day and kicked them out. So it's all coming together.
Oh, it really is. And you're the true example of a cowboy. So, way to keep the West alive through your day to day life, but then also in the rodeo arena, and kind of moving on to the rodeo arena side of things. Are there any goals for you for this year in 2023? I know you had kind of a harder year, 2022. So, talk about your goals for the future before we go back to the past.
Yeah, shoot. It's every person's dream to be a world champ and go to the NFR, and that's dang sure a goal for me, is really this year to make the NFR. And I really, in my mind, want to be sitting high enough to where I got a shot for the world title. And shoot, it'd mean the world to me to walk out of that place with a gold buckle, either now or I think I got 10 more years in me. So we're gonna keep going at it and keep fighting. Surely they can't keep me down for that long.
Oh, yeah, no. And that's a good attitude to have, especially in the bull riding, because you guys have to be some tough suckers to get on a bull. Is it ever scary to you whenever you go into this, that you slip your leg over the bull and you get into the chutes and you're getting ready to nod your head? Is that ever scary? Do you ever think, like,
Yeah.
why am I doing this?
Oh, when I was younger, I guess, but now it's just become such a routine. I get butterflies still, and especially like in front of big crowds and where there's a lot of money on the line. I get nervous then, but just going and crawling on one, it's just kind of another day. There's always some fear in there, because you are 145, 50-pound man get on a 2,000-pound animal, that one wrong step and it could be over for life.
And how do you keep your mindset set good on, like, just set on the straight and narrow of, like, you got to stay positive, you got to keep your head above water, and don't let yourself go to the fearful thoughts?
Yeah, you definitely have to. And like, one thing that really changed my outlook on bull riding and just really anything that's kind of intimidating is I read a book one time, and it talks a lot about controlling your breathing. So like during the day of that, I got to go to a rodeo or something, like, and I get a little bit nervous way ahead of time, I'll just start breathing, and I'll yawn a lot too, just to try to ease my nerves. And they say it works. And I mean, it really does. I had to try it one time, and after that, it was pretty much game over. I could keep myself pretty calm.
That's really admirable too, because not a lot of guys can let themselves relax long enough to enjoy their sport and enjoy their job and, really take in every moment. But I really like what you said earlier, how you weigh this much and the bull weighs this much, and one wrong move could make it wrong. I know you've had your fair share of minor injuries, but let's talk about your fractured neck there for a while. That really just kind of set the stage for you. You were on your way to the NFR, and that kind of set you back. Tell us about your injury.
Yeah. So I didn't know my neck had been broke, but it had been broke up to the time that I figured it out. It had been broke for like a month or something. My hand was all tingly and numb, and I couldn't feel my fingers. I just thought I had a pinched nerve. Well, we ended up going to Lewiston, Idaho, and they made it a 2-head extreme bulls, and got on my first one, and he bucked me off. And then my next one, I was over it, didn't want to be there. And shoot, by Lewiston, everybody's so ready to be home anyways, about half homesick, and you've been out there for 3 months sleeping in vans and hotel rooms, and didn't really want to be there, like I said. And he freaking jumped out, and it was cold. My hand blew out of my rope, and I landed straight on top of my head. Well, I felt like a little turtle, and felt like there was something up underneath my shoulder blade. And I'm like, golly, this ain't right. There wasn't no sports med there, so I just went to the ambulance. He said, oh yeah, no, you just got a pinched nerve, you'll be fine, just get to stretching. I'm like, all right, whatever. So Roscoe Jarbo and his girlfriend went and got me a little pack of ice, and I laid up in that van, and I'm like, golly, the longer it went, the worse it hurt. I ain't never felt no pain like this before. And I've had shoulder surgeries, a face surgery, and I'm like, this is bad. Anyways, me and Boudreaux Campbell headed to old Puyallup, and we drive all night. And about noon the next day, I woke up out of that bed and I was like, Boudreaux, you got to pull over like now. Like, this ain't right. I don't know how to fix this. And he got me into an urgent care right then, and they took x-rays, and sure enough, my C5, 6, and 7 were all broke, and the middle one was shattered, and it was pinching off that nerve or whatever, this like the little jello stuff inside your bones. They're pinching that off, and my spinal cord and everything. And I was like, oh my goodness. Like, well, how about 2 weeks? Like, you think I'll be good in 2 weeks to go to Pendleton? And when the doctor's face got white, that's when I knew it was dang sure serious. She said, you are on your way home now. Great.
Oh man. And how long were you off of rodeo?
6 months.
Dang.
6 months. They told me the doctor that done my surgery said, you'll never get on another bull, and you'll never ride another colt. I'm like, yeah, okay. So I'm not very good at taking orders anyway. So I put the work in and got my body to where I thought I was feeling a lot better, and got on my first one, and I was 88 on him. And I'm like, shoot, this is just easy. And then it wasn't easy anymore. They got to slamming me pretty hard after that. And we dang sure tested out the neck, but it was just kind of like that all summer. I'd win a lot, and then I'd kind of fall off for here and there. And then all of a sudden my shoulder come out, and they sent me home again 4 months later.
Oh man, and that's got to be kind of mentally challenging too, because the want to is there, the drive's there, but the physical, you just physically can't do it. Was there ever a moment in your life when you thought, maybe I should stop, maybe I should listen to the doctors, or did you know pretty well in your heart that you needed to keep going?
I knew that I needed to keep going, but like you say, everybody got their 2 cents. And so a couple of my buddies would be like, well, what are you going to do now? And like Trey Benton and Lex Oakley, my 2 best traveling partners, they stand behind me 110%. But when they asked me what I was going to do, I was like, I don't know. Like, I don't know anything else. Like, I mean, I know the horse deal and the cow deal a little bit, but that's not where I want to be right now. Like, I'm not ready to give up. And like, well, whatever you want to do, it's up to you. And then I had some other people call me and tell me that I should quit and this and that. There's more to life. And I'm like, yeah, well, you're probably right about that. But what I want to accomplish, if I don't get it accomplished, or at least don't try, then I'm going to deal with regret for my whole life. So I just as well suck it up and keep going. If it's meant to be, it'll be. And if not, it is what it is. The cards are going to lay how they may every time. So you just will do what you want to do. It's a short life.
That's exactly right. And rodeo is such a gamble that I love your outlook on it. You're just, taking it one ride at a time. And that's really cool too. But I'm sure along the way you got to learn and appreciate the understanding for the Justin Cowboy Crisis Fund. And I just want to know, what does the JCCF mean to you?
It means a lot, because that program has helped me through some very tough times. When I first moved to Palestine, I didn't have no money at all. I had a bunch of fines in the PRCA, and I just started getting back on and where I was doing good and trying to get my finances back up. And one of my shoulders come out, and Tandy puts me under, and I tried hard. I'd got on a lot, but it just wasn't staying in, and I wasn't riding either. So I just wasted money at that time. And Danny Reagan, the guy that owns United Pro Rodeo, he's like, man, get a hold of that Justin Cowboy Crisis Fund. Like, that's what they're there for. And I'm like, I don't want to be a charity case. Like, it ain't their fault that I'm sitting at home hurt. And he said, well, that's what it's there for. Just go ahead and use it. So I filled out my form and sent it in. And I mean, it got me through that 6 months. Like, I would have never believed. And I even still tried. Like, I bought little baby calves and tried to raise them underneath this little barn. And I'd bought a handful of colts and wasn't supposed to be riding colts, but I'd hem them up in like a little 8x10 stall and still crawl on them. And just so like when I was back and ready and healed up, I could sell all that and have enough money to go. Well, shoot, it wasn't maybe a year later, and I got hurt again. I'm like, God, well, you can't catch a freaking break. And once again, the Justin Cowboy Crisis Fund was there to back me up and help me along, and I was super thankful. And even this last year, when I got my shoulder fixed, I wasn't calling. Like, I figured I had enough money to get through it, and this felt bad. And Tom Feller called me, and he says, well, you going to need some help from the Justin Cowboy Crisis Fund? I'm like, man, Tom, like, I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm tired of trying to be a charity case, and I've basically lived off y'all for 3 years. Let somebody else have that money. He said, absolutely not. Like, That's what it's there for, and we're going to help you. I don't care if you put a form in or not. Like, still fill the form out, and I still did. But he said, I'm going to help you. I said, well, I sure appreciate it. I mean, all y'all there are super wonderful people, and I couldn't be more thankful.
Oh, yes. And what incredible people that are actually on the Justin Cowboy Crisis Fund board. If you're listening out there and you're curious, go ahead and look them up and see the board members that take the time to go through every application, have the meetings monthly, weekly, sometimes daily, it feels like, whenever they have to have calls on things. So yeah, they're very incredible people. And I'm so thankful that you shared your story, Laramie. That's really, really cool. I actually didn't know the most of that. I just knew that, the minor part. So that's really, really inspiring for a lot of people out there who have maybe gone through some harder challenges. Like, you really could have just given up, or, just accepted that you were done, and you kept fighting, you kept going. And that's just, to me, so inspiring. And so thank you for opening up about that. That's, yeah. And then to mention Tom too. Tom is an incredible man that would give you the shirt off his back. And so that's just really cool that he has that relationship with you, and that you have it in return with him. I really am inspired by that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And kind of moving on to a different part of the podcast, I want to learn more about the behind the scenes of rodeo, behind the scenes of Laramie Mosley. Okay, so I'm just dying to ask, what's it like traveling down the road? Do you get to work out all the time? Do you get to sit down and have normal meals? Tell us about the behind the scenes of the travel life.
If it was up to me, it'd probably just be a bunch of fast food and gas station food, because I'm horrible. Like, when I get in a vehicle, I shoot to get to my destination. I don't want to dive off and jack around. Like, I want to get there and be done. Well, Trey Benton, he's going to eat. So he's going to eat his breakfast, he's going to eat lunch, and he's going to eat dinner. If you don't let him have it, he's going to get pretty upset. So with me not eating and him eating way more than I do, we're a pretty good fit, because we kind of keep each other balanced. But other than that, I mean, it's pretty smooth sailing. Like, we all get along, and we all kind of have the same mindset of where we want to be at in the end of the day. So we all get along pretty good, and very thankful for all them too.
Oh yeah. And you heard it here first on the podcast, guys. Did you hear that? Trey Benton gets hangry if he doesn't eat. I really love that. And you mentioned gas station food too. That's kind of random. Not everyone would just be okay with or desire gas station food where they're eating some mystery meat. So do you have an experience that you remember in particular, that maybe a certain gas station has a certain favorite food or a bad food? It's okay. You can tell us.
Honestly, like, Casey's, kind of like northern Kansas and all that, they probably have the best pizza. But other than that, it's all the same to me. It's just something to fill the hole. I don't really discriminate too much. The only thing I ain't gonna eat is anything with cucumbers on it. I can't stand that.
Luckily, most gas stations probably don't have cucumbers.
Yeah, I bet if they do, you don't want them anyways.
That's exactly right. And you're onto something there with Casey's. Casey's pizza and Casey's sweet tea is the best. I don't know. Have you had their sweet tea?
Oh yeah.
Okay, yeah.
That's all I drink. Sweet tea and water. That's all. Maybe
Well,
Gatorade every now and then, but
to kind of recoup. Yeah. Yeah. That's like an interesting, really good combo right there. Casey's is the best. I'm so glad you said that. I completely forgot about that. That was my favorite part about traveling for rodeo too. But kind of moving on to like the behind the scenes of the rodeo part of the aspect. Bull riding is normally, now there's some cases where it's different, but normally the last event of rodeo. So essentially you get to the rodeo early, you check out your ride, you go through your routine there, but then you just have a whole bunch of waiting, hurry up and wait. Talk to us about what you do behind the chutes to get ready for your ride. What's it like? Is it fun and energetic and pumping up? Is it quiet? How do you guys get ready to rodeo and to get mentally tough enough to throw your leg over another bull?
yeah. See, and like, everybody's got a different system. Me personally, like, I like to be there at least 30 minutes before the rodeo starts, just so there's nothing hectic, and I don't ever feel like I'm being rushed. But after that, it's like you say, it's a bunch of wait time. But shoot, I don't hardly stretch. I don't do nothing. Like they say, if you stretch too much, then your ligaments get weak and all your muscles get weak. So I just kind of sit around and I go help the bareback riders. I watch the calf roping. I watch the team roping. I even watch the barrel racing. I watch almost every event. And then I just go through my routine. About bronc riding time, I'll take my arm and tie my boots on. And after that, I'm just waiting for him to load them. And then as soon as he gets in, I put my bull rope on and it's go time.
It is. And one thing that, if you've been listening to the podcast very long, you've heard me talk. I know I talked to Tim O'Connell about this, but I want to hear your opinion too. Is it hard traveling with your friend, going through life with your friend and then helping him get on the bull, get on whatever rough stock event it is, and then also compete against him. That's one thing that's unique about rodeo is you guys are all friends, but you also compete against each other and it's healthy. So what's your take on that?
See, I don't really think of it as I'm competing against one of my friends or somebody else. Like it's just me and my animal that I got for that day. Like I don't wish bad on nobody. Like I'll be the first one. If I jump out there and I'm 90 points, like I'm wanting you to be 91. Like I sure like to win, but I want you to have the best day too, because everybody needs everything they get. So like I'm not gonna sit here and be like, oh, well, I need it more than you do, or this and that. Like I hope you fall off. Like I've never been that type. So like if somebody needs help, I'm right back and helping them tie their hand in and let's see it. And I like to see rodeos with a bunch of great bull rides. Like it makes me feel bad as a bull rider that I'm supposed to be if they pitch a shutout that night. Like, come on guys, we got to stay on. We got to get it rolling. But I like to see everybody do good.
And that's kind of your whole brand. You're really good at giving a helping hand to those in need. I don't think that you've ever been seen to turn anyone down that has a question. And so naturally, I just find myself having to ask, what is some advice that you'd like to give to anyone that's not as familiar with rodeo, that wants to get started in rodeo, or maybe they're struggling with bull riding, they need help there. What advice would you give them overall?
It's a long, hard trip, and just don't ever give up. This life isn't given to anybody, no matter how you look at it. Everybody's got to go put their work in and put the effort in and be who they want to be. And if you're going to be successful at anything, it's going to be hard. So don't think just because the rodeo game may not be working out that something else is going to be easier. Everything takes its time and everything's going to be hard. So like say, if you want to be a world champion, whatever event you want to do, you're going to have to put the work in. And if you want it bad enough, you'll go get it.
Oh, without a doubt. And I've kind of got to toot your horn just a little bit because you work so hard and you're a finisher. You finish anything you start. And one thing that I've got to commend you for is your degree in farm and ranch management. Give us a second, talk to us about your perspective there, how it aligns with rodeo and how much you didn't think you needed it at the time, but now it's kind of falling hand in hand for you.
Yeah, no, I absolutely did not want to go to college. I wanted nothing to do with it. But going to college made me grow up a lot more. Like I feel like if I'd have jumped straight out on the scene, not went to college, not have anything to fall back on, I'd have been no good, just rough for a couple of years before I'd never been away from home that much, or let alone be away from people to kind of guide me in the right direction. Once you get out on that road, it's every man for himself. Like, whether you like it or not, it is like it's a dog eat dog world out there, and I didn't understand that at first. I kind of figured like, oh yeah, like everybody else been raised in rodeo families and this and that. Like, shoot, yeah, they'll help me, tell me where to go. No, you got to figure it out on your own. And every new kid that kind of comes around, it's kind of funny to me because they're all asking for help, and everybody's willing to help them to an extent. But a lot of them kids now, they want babied and have people enter them, and don't have any desire to go out and actually figure it out on their own like the rest of us did. And so it's kind of funny to me. But like I had a kid come up to me last week. And he said, "Man, where do you think I need to go?" I'm like, "Where's everybody else going? Or what's got the most money?" "Well, I don't know." I'm like, "Well, did you look at your journal?" "No, I just get on and enter everything. When I get the text, I just kind of go through and whatever's close to home." And I'm like, "But you're gonna have to get you a book, write it down, like figure it out, like because ain't nobody out here gonna help you. They'll give you advice, but they ain't gonna do it for you. So just get your journal out and write it down and figure out where there's most money and how you can make it all line up and tie in." Well, ain't nobody ever explained it to me like that. Well, there's your upper hand.
Oh yeah, that's great advice right there, especially because when it comes down to it, it is a scheduling. I mean, it's almost like a math problem. Honestly, you got to figure out how many miles it is to this, how long it would take you here. And if you ended up at the same place, which one would you draw out of it? It's just so, it's just interesting to me to see all of the work that goes behind it. Do you think that work in the beginning is worth it? Do you think it's paid off for you?
Oh, absolutely. Just because now, like, say me and Trey Benton or me and Lex just all decided to split and go different ways, like, there's not a single one of us that's relying on the other. Like, we're all a team going together and we all hash it out together. So, I mean, if any one of us never knew how to enter, or how to schedule ourselves up, we'd be dead in the water. You got to know how to set yourself up for success, I guess.
Well said. I could not have said it better myself. And for everyone out there that's listening, they're going to want to follow along and get to know more about your story. So where can we find you on social media?
I'm on Facebook and Instagram, and it's pretty simple. It's just Laramie Mosley. No hashtags, no nothing.
Nothing fancy. That's what I love it. You what you see is what you get. That's so
Yeah.
inspiring as well. Well, Laramie, I think we're almost out of time. So I'm going to go ahead and end it here. But I wanted to say thank you again for taking the time to do this. I know you're traveling, you're here, there, and everywhere. I wish you the best of luck during the Cowboy Christmas, the rodeo run, and your final race to NFR. We'll be cheering you on this year. And I want to just officially say welcome to Team Justin, and thank you for being so willing to jump on our brand and ride for the brand. And we're so excited to see your journey and how it all turns out for you.